All right. So it's our first health coach meeting, and was talking with the executive directors, and we just thought it would be a good idea, like once a month, just to gather together as just our team, and do some health coach training. We have a lot of training that's available from the company, and I don't know if you tune in. I highly recommend that you tune in on Monday nights to the leadership call. There's a new health coach starting point training for coaches that have less than 5 clients. And then there's what we call core training that has training for coaches, a little bit more advanced. But a lot of this is just stuff that you watch, and there's not interactive. So what I'd like to do in these monthly calls is kind of take a topic, maybe things that I'm hearing from you guys as I'm talking to you one-on-one or through your coaches, and really talk about what might be going on or any kind of concerns, and kind of take the skills that we learn in the webinar format and bring it to an environment where we can just kind of talk about what does it look like in real life. So one of the things that I have been hearing lately is, and it happens to experienced coaches, it happens to new coaches, but very often we'll sign on a new client and we're so excited, right? Because we know what's possible for them, and we have made this great connection with them, we think, and we're ready to help them get going. And then all of a sudden, like, they either don't answer our phone call, or they're suddenly postponing their orders, or worse yet, they might want to cancel. And it's frustrating, and it can be painful. I mean, no matter what experience level you have in the business, but especially as you're new and you're bringing on people, it can be discouraging. So there's a couple of different layers to the conversation, but one of the most common denominators is, or common things I wanted to talk about, was the importance of establishing a relationship with our clients, and just reminding ourselves that we really are in the transformation business. So getting a new client, placing their first order, I mean, it's a transaction, right? And we're excited because, yay, we want new clients, and we know we need new clients to get to senior coach and to possibly get to executive director. And we never want to lose focus on just looking for clients, and looking for clients in terms of orders, or being upset if an order is canceled because how it impacts us. And if we really keep our eye on what's really in our heart, on what's most important, is really helping people make change in their life the way that it's changed our lives, then as long as our intention is always good and we connect with people on a level that they really truly get that that's what we're looking to help them do, it definitely improves the process. It definitely helps our skill in communicating with people and what the ultimate outcome is. And you'll find over time and with experience and through effective questioning on the front end, that even if you have somebody throwing their credit card at you that they're ready to sign up, like, I don't care, just sign me up for it, it's worth the time to walk through what we're going to talk about tonight and really find out what they're looking for. Find out what they want besides the 20 pounds they want gone on the scale, what it really means to them. And also to posture and establish our relationship as a coach, and let them and help them understand what we're offering is different. Because most of the world knows is just diets. And they see somebody get fast results on our program, maybe it's you, and they just want what you have, and they want the diet. And it's really our role as a coach is to really guide them and lead them through what we really have to offer. So before I go in too much, I thought maybe I'd open with Julie Apple. Julie's one of the executive directors on our team, and she is really good at making connection with people and help identify and make a connection early in the relationship at figuring out what they want. So Julie, I'll let you just unmute yourself, and why don't you just share a little bit about how your initial conversations go, and what are you looking to do when you initially connect with somebody?
Yeah. So I think that's honestly one of my favorite parts is the initial call with people, because I love getting to know people. So I kind of get excited when I know, like, tomorrow I'm talking to somebody 4:00 in the afternoon, and I'm already excited to talk to her because I can find out, and she's a referral of a current client. So I already have a little bit of a relationship with her. So I can just kind of go into the call, and I usually start the call with just some chit chat and just, can you guys hear me still? Sorry, my thing said it. My internet was unstable. So I just spend a few minutes talking about their life and having a fun talking, so that's how it starts out. So it's not like overwhelming to them and, oh my gosh, who's this girl calling me? Ugh. she feels like, I feel like I'm getting drilled. Like, you don't want it to feel like business and robotics. So I try to keep it real and have fun. And then after a couple of minutes of talking about life, usually it's a perfect segue, and they'll somehow reference, well, yeah, that's why I need to talk to you, because I'm getting fat or whatever. They'll just start talking. If they don't, usually I'll use something that we're talking about to segue into it and just say, well, hey, why did you and Lindsay, what made you guys start talking? What are you looking for? What's on your mind? What do you want to accomplish? So I usually just start asking very general questions, and usually that leads them to start answering the next questions that I would ask them, but they're already probably coming up and saying it themselves. So they're like, oh my gosh, since I've got married, I've gained 50 pounds and I'm fat and I just am miserable. So they kind of lead right into it. But if they don't, usually it's like, I heard it referenced one time as like you're peeling an onion. So you're kind of taking one layer at a time. You're continuing to open up that onion and find out, okay, let's get to the heart of what the real matter is. So just start asking questions that lets you peel back those layers. So I start general, and then we start kind of opening it up even more and find out, okay, so what happened when you got married? Did your life change? Like, did you stop eating? Did you eat more? Portions out of control? So I just try to start finding out what's really going on. And in that whole time that I'm asking questions, I'm usually writing down notes just because it helps me stay focused. But it also helps me reference back later on, like in 2 months when they're struggling, I can go back and say, okay, they started this because they struggled with this. So I can go back and remember what's going on, because once you have several clients, you can't keep them all straight. So the more notes, the better, just for helpful for all of you guys. It'll probably help you if it helps me too. So then once we're talking and they are sharing all those details, I keep those notes so that then once they've spent the majority of the time, like I usually allot about 15 to 25 minutes that I talk to people. I probably let most people talk the entire first 15 minutes. And then once they've kind of shared everything and I feel like we're at a place of, okay, they've kind of spilled their guts and said what they want to say, then I can go back and I can kind of start tweaking. What do you want to do to get results? Tell me what you're looking for. And then I can start telling them about the program and say, well, you know how you mentioned that your portions are out of control? This is the greatest part about the program. So I'll reference all the the 4 parts of the program: the health coach, the habits of health, community, and the fuelings. But I usually try to make those, I tailor it to what they're looking for. And so I'll say, okay, well, the fuelings will help you keep your portions under control. So I make it all about them and what they just referenced in that conversation, so that they know, like, this is totally going to be for me because it works. So then you might be talking to somebody else the next day who has a totally different situation, but you tailor it to that person because you just heard exactly what they're looking for. So the more you get to know people, they immediately establishes trust. They trust you and they know you're looking out for their best interest. And it's not just somebody giving me their credit card. Because honestly, I've seen most everybody that wants to do that, they end up, they don't stick with it because I didn't get to know them. They don't trust me. They don't like the food. And then the next week I see they canceled their order. So it kind of inevitably happens. So the more we can invest in the front end, the better off your relationship will be with the client. But even more so, I think the clients will be more successful.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good point. And it's hard. It's hard as a new coach because you're so flippin' excited that somebody is interested in the program and you're like, yay. But really taking the time to get to know them is going to pay off, because what we don't want is Take Shape for Life for a month. You know, if you think about building a solid, credible business, we want clients that get results. And so if we sign them up too quickly and they're not ready, or we haven't gone through this process, and it's okay. Like everybody, they're coming from a dieter's world and we're just bringing them into our world. And so our role as a coach is to guide them. And so where they, if they're on their own, might want to quit right away, if we can connect with them, like Julie said, and have some connection and have some common ground and can go back and go back to that initial conversation, we can maybe remind them of why they started and maybe, offer them some options and stuff. It doesn't have to be a flat out if they want to quit or whatever Julie said, and it, based on, because we didn't really establish that solid foundation. So I am going to share my screen, and Julie, if you'll just mute yourself again, Julie, there you go. And I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to show you, I'm going to post this in our group too, but I just wanted to show you some questions that you could, I think this is it. Yeah, some questions that you could ask, and your personality and your wording. The great thing about Take Shape for Life is that we're process driven. So we can give you samples of questions, but but you add your personality to it, your style. So you're going to ask things. So my conversation, I probably get to the same thing that Susan Giesling gets to, that Vicki Feldman gets to, like any experienced coach, we get to the same thing. We might just go at it a little bit differently by the way that we feel comfortable asking questions. So the first thing, whenever we're connecting with somebody, and this is why we never talk to anybody on the spot. You're in the mall or you're at the grocery store and somebody asks you what you did. It's always a matter of, hey, I'd love to share with you. Let me schedule, let's just schedule a call. I'd love to hear what you're looking for, because, my program varies based on your goals, because we want to be able to be in a situation where we're really driving that conversation and can get to these questions. So some of the simple things, is just like Julie said, I always do the chit chat, but then I'll say, so just tell me what's going on. Like, where are you? What are you hoping to accomplish with your health? And people like to talk about themselves. So these are very easy questions. If I could I like this one a lot. I'll say, if I could wave a magic wand, there were no obstacles, everything goes according to plan, what are you looking for? Like, what do you see when you see you at that healthy place that you want to be at? What kinds of things are you doing? How do you feel? So what I really tried to do is that next question, besides the number on the scale, I would just say, besides the number on the scale, what are you looking for? What do you think? What are you hoping that brings you that you don't have now? And sometimes people will just say, like, well, I just want to be healthy, or I just want to be healthier. And, I'll just respond with, well, that's great, and health means different things to different people. And I might just lead them a little bit and go, is it a way you want to feel? Like, are you looking for more energy? Like, what is it? And it doesn't take much to kind of chip down to that next level of what they're looking for. Now I'll just say, where are you now? Where do you want to be? What are you looking to accomplish? A real big one is to say, if they just say, well, maybe they just say, well, I just want to have more energy. Okay, great. Well, why is that important to you? Like, what are you hoping to do with that energy? See if you can go another layer. Like, why is that important? Oh, well, I just want to be able to get outside and do things. Great. Like, well, what kinds of things would you do? So you're painting the picture for them and really getting to know them, so that when they are starting to struggle, we can go back to that and say, and I usually, if I go back to these, I'll usually say, do you remember when we started? Do you remember when I asked you what you wanted, or what you were going to do with your energy? And I'll make them say it, so that, that it comes more from them, and it kind of restirs, brings up those same feelings and emotions again. Some good questions or some good things to do is, we're really looking to get to the point where we connect with people, that maybe we start to even connect on a heart level with people, and, asking, why is this important to you? I like to ask people, like, I'll say, like, hey, I know I can help you achieve that. I know our plan can help you. How's it going to impact your life? How's it going to, what's it going to be like, how's it going to impact you when you get there? Because for many people, just even that sense of accomplishment that they were able to achieve this, like, it might even be bigger than having more energy. It might really be like they're looking for this. It's something they've struggled with all their life. How will it impact your family? How will it impact the people that care about you? And when we really start getting to that level and that connection, I mean, if it can be more longevity with their family, if it can be getting on the floor and playing with their grandchildren, that's what we're doing. We're trying to change people's lives so that they can do what's really, really important to them, not just get into their skinny jeans. I like to ask people, I'll make a joke about it. I'll usually say something like, hey, I know this is not your first time to the rodeo. Like, have you tried to lose weight before? And it usually gets a laugh. And I'll say, well, was it easy? And, usually the answer is no. But I'll usually ask them, okay, well, great. Like, well, what got in the way? And you'll find whatever their obstacles are. If they're a stress eater, if they're an emotional eater, if things get busy, if they tend to want to abandon what they really want for the short term. So, so that's kind of where I go with it at the beginning to find, yeah, the number on the scale is great, but what is it that they are really looking for? The big thing is, and this is something big for us as a coach is, it's a tough world we live in with people when they want to make change in their life, because ultimately they want something. So in our case, we're working with people that they want change in their health, right? So they want to lose weight, they want all the outcomes and the benefits that come with that. At the same time, they're faced with life, right? They're faced with life and challenges and things they want right now and things they want right at this moment, right? These things that are right in front of them. And everything in society tells people, advertising, the world around them, everybody is telling them it's okay, right? It's, to be overweight or to eat these unhealthy things. So it's really hard for people, if we just get to the human connection of it, it's really hard for people to make that change, that leap from where they are now and facing all those choices to what it is they really want. And our job as a coach is just to really help bridge that gap for them. We're not therapists, we're not, counselors, but we're just there as a guide and to help them move forward and not keep repeating the same patterns that they've always done. So before we go into the next section, are there any questions or comments, from any of you guys about those conversations you've had so far? Vicki Feldman, tell us a little bit. You're really good at connecting with people and asking them questions and stuff. How do your conversations typically go? Do you have a kind of a pattern of questions you ask people?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, similar to what you've just kind of gone over, I typically will ask them, what's the why now? What is it that's changed now? And finding out what have they tried, what's gotten in the way. And I do a little bit of that magic wand. If you could have a perfect scenario, where would it be? And I mean, I just had a conversation earlier tonight with somebody, and she just said, I just want to be where I was before. And so I just kind of said, well, why was that a good place to be? And she said, I just felt comfortable in my own skin. So for her, it was just that she just doesn't feel good right now. And then she went one step further is, well, I want to have kids and I can't have kids when I'm this. So, to me, that was like a bigger why, although I don't think that's on the forefront immediately. She just wants to feel better. So just like you were talking about and Julie alluded to also is just sort of peeling back those layers. And sometimes something that somebody will say will send you in a direction where they kind of go down memory lane a little bit and then they remember what that felt like. And then, bringing them back to now. I think, what we discussed the other day was just the challenge of sometimes as people progress and they lose some, but they don't really get to their goal, they somehow forget about those conversations. And I think just because the stress of the moment isn't as acute as it was at the beginning.
Exactly. I mean, that's almost a whole nother conversation about structural tension. A lot of times what brings somebody to the point that they're ready to start making change is that they're at this kind of pivotal moment. They either get a diagnosis from the doctor or the pants don't fit, or they just kind of reach this breaking point, like enough is enough. But then when those conditions stop existing or they're not so much in the forefront of their mind, it's easy to start settling for good enough, right? It's good enough. And, I think if we're all honest about ourselves, maybe even those of us who've been coaching a while, we could do that with our business too, right? We just we have this big dream and then we can start back and go, it gets a little hard. And we're like, okay, good enough, And so it's the way we're wired as humans. And so if we really want to help people break through that, like Vicki was saying, it's just kind of finding out that deeper why. And then maybe we can redirect people back to what it was they said they wanted. And, people are so flippin' busy these days that not many people take time to dream anymore. Maybe nobody, us asking these kind of questions, I mean, they didn't even come into it thinking we were going to ask that. Like they thought they were going to be evaluating us, whether or not they wanted to do it or eat this or that. And we haven't even gotten to that yet, so it's a much different, experience. So that's good. I want to move on to, just that the next thing I wanted to show was, let's see, kind of what Julie alluded to, the actual share of the program with somebody. So when you're having your conversation with somebody, there's kind of, this should be the pie chart of what it looks like. And the beginning is right here, what Julie, was talking, that little bit of chit chat. You may or may not know this person. It could be a good friend of yours, or it could be, somebody that was referred to you, but finding that common ground, that chit chat, just get it going. And then the whole thing is this whole blue, this is 3/4 of the conversation. This is you asking a simple, one or two questions and all them. So what, one word I was taught early on, it's called WAIT, and it's an acronym, WAIT, and it's an acronym for why am I talking? So if you're on a call with a new client, it should be a whole lot less you and a whole lot more them. So just ask a question and don't be afraid of silence. Like I have found, like I'll ask a question and there'll be hesitation. And my natural instinct is I want to start providing the answer for them or make it less uncomfortable for them. But if we can ask a question and then just bite our tongue, I find that people are thinking, and they will come out and they'll start to answer the questions, and sometimes that's even when you start to get the quivery voice, like that you're starting to really touch on what's most important to them. So exploring their why, and then you give an opportunity for them to do a little bit of questions and answer, and then we talk about the program, applying it to their why. So just like Julie said, there's no need to be talking about medical studies at Johns Hopkins University if what gets in their way is that they just have unbelievably busy schedule and they need convenience. Like they don't really care that this was developed by doctors and clinically studied. Like they just want to know, is it easy? Can I do it? And what kind of results will I get? But you might have somebody on the other side, like they're a little apprehensive. They're a little apprehensive about maybe the meal replacement. So maybe you do want to pull in the credentials of the program into that conversation. So every little share will look different, but I put this down here. This comes from the Optavia guide. I don't know if all of you guys have a copy of the little booklet, the Optavia guide. But if you look on page 4, it says, welcome to Optavia, and it gives the 4 pillars of our program. And this is the way I do every share now, is I really start, the way it's listed in the book is just like this, is, one, talking about the significance of the health coach and that personal relationship, why it's going to make a difference. The education that we provide, and that we're going to work on behavioral and patterns and triggers, as well as the lifestyle and the eating habits. And I do say you'll get all the information you need, so you'll be able to have the eating, know how to eat, so you'll know how to maintain your weight loss. The community of support, a little blib about that, and then the fuelings. And depending on what it is they need, that's where I'm going to put most of my emphasis on in the conversation. So that's pretty much it with regarding the share of the program. Susan Giesland, do you have anything to add in that arena in terms of, is there anything that you can contribute that I might have missed in that?
I kind of do the same thing. I found that it's, a lot of times people get caught up in the food, what's a food taste like? What kind of food is it? Blah, blah, blah. So I sort of steer them a little bit away from that. And I try to equate it to, a lot of times the food is a tool. It's a tool we use to, lose the weight quickly and safely. But I kind of just go back into, the most important part of our program is the health coach, the support, then the education system. I said, I kind of, sometimes I throw in the analogy of building a deck. You're going to use a hammer and tools and wood to build the deck. But once you get the deck done, you don't need those tools as much. But if you don't build it with a good foundation, it's not going to stay up there. So I tell them that education system is such a good foundation, and how that sets us apart from being a diet program. But that's pretty much what I do when I share that with clients. And it's exactly what Julie and Vicki and you have said. It's just, it has to be tailored to that conversation. It's listening, and taking really good notes is really important.
Yeah, absolutely. Write those notes down. I write all my notes on my health tracker, my well-being tracker for the client, and they're a mess. I mean, it's just all my notes all over the front of it, but that's where I just keep it all, so that when they start, I just assume everybody I talk to is going to start the program. So I just start a health tracker on them, and that's what I use going forward. And I just heard this the other day, and I used it this evening on a share, and I liked the way it sounded. After I asked her, about her, then I said, so would you like to hear a little bit about what the program that I offer? So I kind of got permission to then kind of take the lead from there. Of course, she's like, yeah, of course. And the phrase that I had heard, and I really liked it, it was, well, the first thing I'd like to just point out about our program is we pick up where all the other diets and weight loss programs out there stop. So we're really there to, we're going to equip you and help you really make really make change and make a change for the long term. And by the way, I also have a really great weight loss plan, and it's going to bring you your results quicker probably than most other programs out there too. So I really posture it from the beginning so that they really realize what they're stepping into. So the last thing I just wanted to share before we wrap up, because I appreciate you guys being on, and I do know it's late, so I want to respect your time. The other thing is just really posturing our coaching relationship from the beginning. I cannot emphasize enough the importance of a verbal connection, a verbal relationship with our clients. So everything I have here is going to be from a point that you are verbally saying this to somebody. So just like we know it's not beneficial to share about our program in private message to somebody, to share about our program in a text, right? We just can't get that human emotion, that connection. The same applies as we start the health journey, the process with them. So, I always just, once they say yes, that they're going to do the program, I always just kind of give them a setup, a lead into what to expect next. So this is almost exactly like how my words sound, but I was like, okay, well, let me just give you an idea of what's going to happen. I usually say, I'm going to place your order. You're going to get an email confirmation of that. It's going to be here in 3 to 5 days. So I'll say, do me a favor. I need you to text me or call me before you start. Whatever you do, don't start without me. I make it really clear. And I say, we're going to have, and I just noticed I highlighted talk. We're going to talk the day before you start. It's just 5 or 10 minutes. I just want to go over the review of the plan details. I really just want to make sure you get off to a great start. And then we're going to talk the first few days. It's just 3 to 5 minutes just to answer your questions, make sure you get off to a great start. So right away, I'm letting them know these future calls are going to be short. And very often I'll say to somebody, hey, I know this conversation was a little bit long. And like Julie said, I can usually do mine in, 20 to 30 minutes now. But I usually tell them hey, this is the longest conversation we'll have. I'll be calling. And then I'll say after that, we're going to be talking about once a week. It'll be by phone. We'll find a mutually convenient time. And it's just 10 minutes or so. We'll just talk about what's going well, what you're learning through the education materials, any challenges you're having, obstacles, vacation, whatever might be coming up. And I just say it's real important that we talk. We're going to want to talk when things are going well. And more importantly, we're going to talk because, sometimes you're going to face some challenges. So it's going to be even more important that we talk then. So I say that from the get-go because I want my clients to know that I'm there for them. You're going to have clients when things are good, they're just going to text you, oh, it's good. And they're going to want to take off with the diet. But if we let them do that, and if we let them drive the relationship and they just diet, we're going to end up with dieters. And if you have a business just full of dieters, they're not going to be successful. And then the message that they're going to tell their friends is, oh, I did that program. It didn't work. And we know our program works. The only reason it didn't work was because they didn't follow it and they didn't engage in the other tools that we offer them. So that's why it's important for us to do our role. So I can't emphasize enough, not to get into we live in a world that everybody wants to text and email, but try to avoid that with your clients. I mean, the only exception might be is if you played phone tag and they text you their weight or something, but really I'll leave a voicemail and almost say the same exact thing as I would in person, just so they can get my connection and get my voice. I'll say things like I might do it in the first call, or I might do it in that night before call when I'm doing about the program. And I'll say, I know this sounds silly, but is it going to be important to you to keep the weight off? And, you'll get like a giggle or you're like, duh, you're like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, I just want to share, and I'll usually say I've been coaching for a while. It's just going to be real important that you connect into our, community, our support, the education. These are the things that make the difference. So I'm going to add you to our Facebook group. I want you to, just go ahead, jump in. Like, you're going to want to be a part of this in order, it's going to just help you in your success. So I just start posturing that from the get-go. And then one thing I'll say to most people is, hey, one last thing, like I know this is great. And I know you're excited, but you're going to be going through change, and change is hard. And so there's going to be some challenges. There's going to be some struggles. Like, just tell me, how do you want me to coach you through that? And then wait and just see what they say. I will post this in our site, but I just want to see before we wrap up if there's any questions. Anybody have a example of maybe something that happened that they want some guidance around? We've got some real experienced coaches that can help here. No? All right. Well, very good. Oh, go ahead, Julie.
One thing we were talking about earlier today, and I'll make it really fast. When people ask about the program, like if I'm running out of teaching a class and somebody comes up to me and says, hey, well, what is that program? How much does it cost? Can you tell me a little more really quick? Usually those conversations never go well because I get interrupted. I don't get to actually talk to them about their whys. I don't get to go into detail with them. So I usually don't even tell people right out of the gate what the program's called, not to be shady or anything, but just because I want to make sure I actually have time to talk to them about what they're looking for. So if people come up to you and they're like, oh my gosh, Annette, you look so good. What have you been doing? What's that program again? I always just wait to tell them details the hard way. Is a family I used to nanny for. I trained the wife also, and I would see her weekly. In the first week, I told her I was going to start doing this program and helping my clients with using this as their tool. And she goes, well, what's it called? And I said, it's called Take Shape for Life. And I was, of course, really excited about it. So I get there the next week to train her. And she goes, oh yeah, I went online and I ordered the 2-week trial pack and Doug tried it and the food is gross. And I was like, what?
And they didn't order under you, right? They just ordered
No, they went on the Medifast website, and I was kind of crushed because I love this family dearly. But then I was also like frustrated because I was like, I didn't even get a chance to help Doug, talk to him, kind of find out what he wants to do. If I had done this the right way, this would have ended a whole different way. So even when you're excited about it and it's people that are close to you, just wait and actually have a conversation and go about it the way you know how to do it, because otherwise it usually backfires.
That is such a good example. And I mean, really, it's the real reason why we're sharing with you guys is because, like, we've all made like a lot of mistakes, like, because, and I was the queen of them at the beginning, like just signing people up, like, yay. And then they cancel and I couldn't understand why. And I just realized that now, like my clients do so much better just by taking this time with them. And honestly, like a lot of times people have wanted to abandon and walk away. And I'll be like, well, wait a minute. Like there's probably some middle ground. Like, what can you do? Like, maybe offer them some alternatives, and they stay on board and they keep making progress towards their journey. So the one thing I really, really try to communicate to clients is that, our program is not just the 5-in-1. It's not just whether or not you want to do this eating plan, because we have options around that, and we can talk about that in another call. But we don't want people, because that's the thing, is people want to abandon it and then just go do something else. And it's like, that was only one of the four things. So that's a great example. Great example. Well, this will be recorded. I mean, this is recorded, so I'll post it up there. I'm also going to post that document in our files section on our Team Coachin page. We'll do these calls once a month, the third Thursday of every month. And then don't forget, on the first Thursday of every month, we do the client call. And that's a great opportunity. We really want to connect our clients, get them on the call as well. And the first one in February that we're going to do, we're going to actually talk about the science of the 5-in-1 plan, fat burning versus losing weight by counting calories, and really try to help our clients understand that why, adding that glass of wine to the plan really impacts their results and pulls them out of fat burning, because most of our clients, they don't really understand it. Maybe even as coaches, we don't understand it. So we're going to spend some time on that. So thanks for taking some time to invest in your business, and I hope it was helpful, and always here to answer any questions for you guys. Have a good night. Bye.